In this presentation, I'm going to discuss in what ways have you used new media technology in the research, planning, production, and evaluation stages. So, one major advantage of media technology was it allowed us to achieve excellent quality. My first example of this is the use of iPhones. As you can see in the 4 pictures that I've just put up there, they're all excellent quality. It allowed us to be able to take the photos that we would then use for our poster and our magazine cover on the set on the day that that we were filming. So we had the same lighting, we had everybody in the same costumes. We didn't have any of those issues just because of an iPhone, because we didn't need to bring an extra camera with us. We didn't need to borrow one from the school. We could just use our phones, and we've achieved excellent quality there. Another factor was Photoshop. As you can see, we've got that image there to that image there. The use of Photoshop was amazing. We were able to manipulate lighting, colour, even the positioning of him and the writing. We were able to do so much to create such a professional looking magazine cover just from using one software. The image that we first took, if you look back, looks nothing like that. The next image, that was one of the problems that we did face, was the lighting, because obviously we had to shoot in the day. Otherwise we wouldn't have been able to see what we were filming. We would have no light source in the woods. But because of Photoshop, we were able to highlight him, as you can see there, and manipulate the lighting around him to make it look like we'd actually shot it in a much more sinister and dark looking setting, which is obviously very helpful for us as we were doing a magazine cover for a horror film. The next software that was really helpful was iMovie. iMovie allowed us to, even though it's actually quite a limited software, we were able to achieve really great quality products with it. Just like Photoshop, we were able to manipulate lighting and the saturation of the image, the audio, the order that our footage came in. We were able to mute and layer sound on top of it. We were able to achieve quite a professional looking product with just something as simple as iMovie. Just being able to use the clip trimmer and be able to use and cut up the clips that we wanted and split them up, so it created the idea that we were doing much more fast-paced editing than we actually were. Because one of the issues we had was the running. We couldn't get our running shots to look quite as fast as we wanted them to build that tension. So what we did instead was we used the precision editor and cut up all of those clips to about a second, even half a second long, and just lined them up one after another, switching between each clip, and it worked really well. And this is because one of the advances in media technology. We wouldn't have been able to do this without that. Another thing that that we really advanced on was sound. One major advantage of media technologies for our group was being able to use Logic Pro X to create our own music to go along with our trailers second by second. Logic is actually an expensive software. Our group was just lucky to know someone who already had it and let us use it. However, if this wasn't the case, and this wasn't a case for a lot of other groups, they software. When we were using Logic, what we did was we were able to actually move our trailer without any sound into the program, load it onto the program, and then use a a mini keyboard to create our own loops of music to go on top of that. So it literally went along with our trailer second by second, um, to create the perfect soundtrack. Because, and this was a major advancement, because without this we would have just had to have found copyright free music that we could put on top of that. And before we came up with this idea for using Logic, we were looking for copyright free music, and it was, we couldn't find anything that really built that tension that we needed to build with the sound to match what was going on screen. So this again was a major advantage for us. Um, this is pretty much this pretty much made our trailer, because without the sound it really didn't build that much tension for us. Also the use of DaFont. The use of DaFont allowed us to have the same font throughout our 3 texts. Without the use of DaFont, we would have had to use the fonts on Photoshop and the fonts on iMovie, and that would have been it, and they wouldn't have matched, and it wouldn't have created such a all-round correlation between the 3 products and tied them together really nicely. With the use of DaFont, we were allowed to browse through hundreds of fonts and find the one that was just right for us, and copy and paste that into Photoshop, make sure it was exactly the same on our magazine cover and our film poster. So when looking at the two, there's a really clear correlation between the two. This was really easy as well. Yeah, with this website. However, despite the rapid advance in technology, there was still a downside, as we could only access certain software due to financial limitations. As this was a school project, we did have quite a lot of financial limitations. However, if we had been a millionaire Hollywood movie that had the massive budget, it would have been fine, and we would have been able to access those really high quality softwares and polish our film to look like a blockbuster film. Another disadvantage was the use of Screencast-O-Matic. When blogging and when doing my when trying to capture certain moments or explain certain things that went on during the planning and research stages on my blog, I had a lot of difficulty with using Screencast-O-Matic, as I have a Mac, and it wouldn't download onto it. It wouldn't work on the software. So to resolve this, I had to buy one of my own on my own Mac and use this instead of using the free Screencast-O-Matic. So this was a big disadvantage for me. I mean, as well, as much as saying iMovie did allow us to make a high quality looking product, it's still a limitation, because there was still a few things that we wanted to do that we just weren't able to do on iMovie. It didn't have the software or the tools for us to do it. When watching it, there's still a few hiccups along when you're watching it that we could have smoothened out, or perhaps got rid of or stabilized if we were using a more expensive high-end product, high-end software. Things such as when you're watching our trailer, there's a bit where you see a slight flash of it saying "but you can never escape," and then the one that we put on comes on and stays for longer. Just things like that. With the precision editor on iMovie, we couldn't remove that. It wouldn't let us select that little of a clip to let us remove it. However, maybe if we were using a more advanced technology or a more advanced software, it would have enabled us to just remove that tiny half of a second of the clip, so it just looked a bit cleaner and it flowed a bit better. Here I've made a brainstorm just showing all of the technologies that I used throughout the whole process of my coursework. So you can see in the research stage, I use PowerPoint. IMDb was a great website to use, because it allowed me to just see the target audiences for films that were very similar to mine. So it influenced me greatly when deciding on the target audience, primary and secondary, for my own film. YouTube was another great thing to use, just because it allowed me to easily access other trailers for other horror films and just watch them, get ideas from them, decide what I liked, what I didn't like, and so on. Prezi, as I'm using now, is another great advancement in media technology, because it's an easy way of presenting media rich presentations. And as I said, the iPhone was really handy. It enabled us not only to just take good high quality pictures, but to also just at any time, any place, we could watch a trailer that had perhaps influenced us, and just double check something if we needed to. In the planning stage, PicCollage was great. It allowed me, even as an app, it allowed me to just quickly do a quick little collage of all of the mise-en-scène and the costume ideas that we were going to use in our film. Bitstrip was another great one. However, Bitstrip was a little bit limiting, because you're only allowed to access it on your phone, and you can only log in with Facebook. So I have a Facebook, but if you didn't have a Facebook, this would perhaps be a problem for you. Poplet was another great thing. However, after using it 2 or 3 times, whenever I try to log in, it won't let me log in now. So this is perhaps another limitation for me, because I only used it twice, and now whenever I try and log in, it just freezes and it won't let me log in. So I had to resort to using Prezi and Bubbleless. In the construction phase, I pretty much just stuck to using my iPhone, Logic Pro X, Photoshop, and iMovie. As I previously discussed, these are all sort of free, apart from Logic Pro X, free, easy to use softwares that produce really high-end quality products. In the evaluation stage, I stuck to using Prezi, Screen Recorder, BubbleUS, and PowerPoint. Just because I found that with these softwares, they're free and they're easy to use. I looked into using Kizoa and, like I said, Screencast-O-Matic, but they wouldn't work on my laptop. Kizoa only lets you produce a video of a certain amount of time without having to pay. And as I said, with the financial limitations that I face, because this is a school project, I wasn't able to pay for it, to pay the monthly fee just to use it for my coursework.